On September 15, 1985, Charles Taylor escaped from Plymouth County Correctional Facility in Massachusetts, United States of America. But one of the biggest mysteries of the former Liberian president's career is how exactly he managed to escape from this jail. So, the biggest questions are, did Charles Taylor escape from the prison, or was he willfully released? What are other conspiracy theories associated with his escape? Was he working with the CIA and US intelligence agencies to create crisis in Liberia? We'll answer all these questions in this edition on Hispu Media. Please come with me. But don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Hispu Media if you have not done so already. Thank you. Charles Taylor, now a convicted war criminal serving his sentence at Heysham Prison Frankland in County Durham in England, escaped from Plymouth County Correctional Facility, Massachusetts on September 15, 1985. Taylor recounted how on that fateful night, a prison guard unlocked his cell where he was awaiting extradition to Liberia on charges of embezzlement and escorted him to a less secure unit of the jail. He then tied sheets together, climbed out an open window, and clambered over a fence before meeting two men he assumed were US agents who whisked him to New York City by car. Charles Taylor believed the jail guard was working with someone he was not aware of. You can listen to him here before we come back for further analysis.
How did you get out of jail, Mr. Taylor, without a Monopoly type get out of jail card? How did you manage it?
Well, I must say that I will be able to explain to a great extent how I got out. There's some of the details I don't know, but I'll explain to the judges. I'm in jail about 3 to 4 weeks before one of the prison guards in a supervisory position came and told me that I would be leaving the prison. And he wanted to find out that if I was let out of the prison, if I could actually get out of the United States as quickly as possible, because upon leaving, I would have to leave the United States. I said to him, I said, well, it would be a little problem, but I will get to my wife and ask her to, to raise a certain amounts of money that would be made available to me if and when I got out. Now, that was a little sticky because my wife and I are not living together. I have now moved to Boston where I'm arrested. I'm with this girlfriend, Agnes, who later becomes my wife. But my wife, Tupi, and I had bought a piece of land in New Hampshire. So I had to authorize her to sell the land to raise some money that when I got out of jail, I would be able to do something. The Plymouth County House of Correction is both a minimum and a maximum security facility. The minimum security facility of that jail, you have people who are about to get out, they go work in the fields, come in, go out. It's virtually for people that, who have no good reason to get out of jail, because in that facility you are there. Within the building, you have to walk from maximum security through so many gates to get into minimum. And the minimum side of the jail is really minimum. Low walls, as people walk out and do what they have to do. On the date that I reported back to them, to the guard, and told him that I had arranged with my wife, and after she assured me that she had sold the land and had some money, we had to really give the land at rock bottom price. I told him that we had some money. He verified my passport. He verified that I could get out. I can remember one evening at about 10, he came, opened my cell, it was during lockdown time, and escorted me from the maximum security side through several gates to the minimum security side, where there were 2 other detainees there standing. They were already out. They had already, I don't know who cut it, but I think the guards had made these arrangements. Those two guys and myself with the guard, this one guard, and I do not know and will not lie if he was operating with anybody else, but I believe that he had to be operating with somebody else. I was taken out. We got to the window. These guys took a sheet. We tied it on the bar in a very short distance, and we came down, got over the fence. There was a waiting car outside. There were two guys in the car. These other two guys and myself got in the car and drove, and their instructions, the guys who were driving the car's instructions were to get me as far as New York, where I had told them I wanted to go. They drove me from Boston. We stopped in Providence, Rhode Island. My wife came, brought the money. She was in a second car, and the two cars drove. The two guys that were driving the car insisted that I not drive with her. I should stay in their car just in case we were stopped by state troopers. I followed those instructions. I do not know those guys. They never identified themselves to me. I had never known them before. They drove us all the way to New York. I got out of the car and I showed them that would be okay. And then I met a sister of mine, a half-sister of mine, and I stayed at her apartment. Those guys, plus the two guys that broke out of the jail with me, I have not seen or heard from them today. Now, what do I mean by I do not know the full story? It is my assumption, and I want to be very clear about this, because I did not pay any money. I did not know the guys that picked me up. I stayed in New York for about, as I'm in New York, the coup is going on in Liberia. I cannot get a flight out of New York on time. I was not hiding. All this nonsense about being searched, I was not hiding. I did not get a flight out. I was still in New York when Jerome Kurongba was captured. I stayed in New York for about 2 or 3 weeks. It was decided that by my sister that since things had gotten out of shape, by this time every news agency is reporting that Charles Taylor has escaped from jail. I drive on Interstate 95, not hiding, from New York after about 2 weeks to Washington, D.C. I spent a couple of days in Washington, D.C. visiting a friend of mine, the late Eric Scott. From there, I drive all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, board a plane, fly to Texas, spend time there with some family, friends down there for about another month, and then go on to Mexico and fly to West Africa.
A United States official claimed that Taylor was released probably because he did not commit any crime in the United States, and some people may have become tired of feeding him in jail. Please listen to him.
I don't know how he escaped. Let me give you some background there. He was head of General Services Department, right? And he left. He was being pursued by the Liberian government for investigation of corruption, fraud, stealing money. And he was in Massachusetts, and on the request of the Liberian government, he was arrested pending extradition, which is a normal procedure. There is an extradition treaty between the U.S. and Liberia. So he was being held by the state of Massachusetts. And what was needed was a documentation that could be given to the judge in Massachusetts that would enable the judge to decide whether he should be extradited to Liberia for trial. After his arrest, a long period of time went by and there were no documents supplied. Nothing came in from Monrovia. in support of this extradition. So he was sitting in jail waiting to be dealt with through the judicial system. But nothing happened until, while they were waiting for these documents. And he escaped. I think he had been in prison something like 6 months. Now, how he escaped, I don't know. I have no knowledge. I have some suspicions that some people were tired of feeding him. And since he had not committed any crimes in the U.S., he was not accused of any crimes in the U.S., why continue feeding this gentleman? And if he's wanted so badly in Liberia, why didn't they get these paperwork in, you see? So you can draw your own conclusions from that.
However, the most popular conspiracy theory is that the CIA helped him to escape, a charge that the agency vehemently denied. Meanwhile, available information suggests that Charles Taylor was providing information to U.S. intelligence agencies and was in their payroll as well, while the Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA, the spy arm of Pentagon, confirmed its agents and CIA agents worked with Taylor in the 1980s. They would not reveal details of the relationship on national security grounds. Other analysts believe the United States had all but stopped its relationship with Charles Taylor by the mid-1990s. So, if this is true, however, then those who allege that Charles Taylor was working for CIA and DIA while he stoked one of the most brutal conflicts in Liberia are not far from the truth. Liberian Senator Prince Johnson, a fellow war criminal and former ally, also alluded to Taylor's links with U.S. intelligence agencies. But for more interesting history stories across Africa, consider subscribing to Hispo Media, like this video and share with friends on social media. Click here for the story of the violent execution of Samuel Doe, a former Liberian president in 1990. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.